the show. David Nuno, Rahil Ramzanali, two guys in a lot of movies and sports talk here on the show. Heezy, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. It's just a nice Sunday. I know you're preparing to watch Real Madrid play here in a second. You got your jersey on. You're hyped up. It's
I'm ready,
a big
man.
matchup.
I cannot wait. Today's show's gonna be fun. So we've kind of been all over the place. Those who are new to it, we've done a lot of political stuff, which is not our typical thing. We've done a lot of obviously sports, which is our backyard and our baby. But today we've got a lot of great content from the entertainment world. We'll be talking sports movies and we'll be talking superhero movies, which is basically both of our favorite things to do.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. Josh Mervin's going to be joining us to talk about a new sports film festival that he's launching, and we love sports films, so we'll get into some of our favorite movies. We'll talk that with Josh. And then a guest that you're really excited to talk about, and so am I, Umberto, who is covering superhero movies and is covering Hollywood. He's going to join us at 1:30. We'll talk about his adventures and his journey, his weight loss journey as well. And then we'll talk superhero movies with him. So I can't wait. And, it's so nice. Yesterday, by the way, Infinity War is now officially on Disney Plus. So if you don't have that Disney Plus subscription, make sure you get it because it is awesome. So you got to rewatch it now for the 8th time.
So I get a little confused because when Disney Plus launched, and I'm part of the Disney family, so I'm all in when it comes to Disney Plus. I thought all the Disney catalog would be moving over, but every once in a while on Netflix you'll see Ragnarok, or you'll see a certain movie, and it is a little confusing. But I think the goal is to have all of the Disney catalog completely there.
I think because they have deals signed beforehand, and once that subscription ends, then it goes over to Disney Plus. Like, you're already getting compliments on the jersey. Look at you,
I mean, Tony G, baby.
Yeah, but he's also.
I hit the wrong side. I thought I hit the crest. The crest is over here.
Yeah, it's over there. It's camera. So he's a Real Madrid fan as well. So you guys all run together.
A couple things I wanted to touch on before. So people are asking what the topics are. We're doing movies, sports movies, and superhero movies, but we're going to talk life as well. The Rocket schedule came out, and I kind of talked about it yesterday on the CW39 show that we do at 9:00. I'm really excited about the Bucks Rockets game, which is the second game of their 8 games. Look, those games, you just want to be healthy. Yes, you do want to move up the standings. The Rockets could technically move up, I think, all the way to the 3 is still possible. But I'm interested because of the whole Harden-Giannis thing. I know Giannis tried to be a little bit nice about Harden being one of the best scorers, all that stuff. But, I mean, the beef those two guys have, I am really I would love to see the Rockets put 150 points on them and move on.
Yeah, that, and then you've got, the comments as you mentioned, but that could be a preview, right? Look, everyone's healthy now. You could see the Bucks. I think they will be favored to get out of the East to make it to the championship series, which is going to be weird. The NBA Finals, it's not the same. You're going to be playing it in an empty arena, but they are favored to come out of the East. And then the Rockets, man, if they're healthy, and that happens to James Harden a lot towards the end of a playoff run,
yep.
He does run out of steam sometimes. So having Westbrook being healthy as well, that could be a potential matchup you see in the NBA Finals. And then you've got the Mavericks to start it off, so you get a chance to watch Luka, which is so much fun to watch. If you're a basketball fan, I get it. They're the Dallas Mavericks, and you're supposed to hate them and all that, but he is so much fun to watch. Then you got the Lakers. So, I mean, every team you're going to be facing, it's an important game because all the fat is trimmed off, right? There's no bad teams in this. Every team is competing to either move up or make the playoffs. You got the Trailblazers as well. This is going to be so much fun because every game is intriguing. And, I hate to say it, but I would love to see an NBA where it is like that, where towards the end of the season, you know what? Important games only, because it just makes it that much fun. It makes it that much more fun and makes that playoff intensity start a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I agree. And look, by the way, somebody just said that nobody cares about sports. I doubt that because it's a quadrillion-dollar business, but whatever. Thanks, Ricky, for your terrible comment. But I am so excited about what we can see from all the teams in Houston for several reasons. We talked a little Dynamo the other day, but for the Astros, Justin Verlander being healthy, right? That's a big deal. But Justin Verlander not pitching 1,000,000 innings when it counts is a bigger thing. Why did the Astros probably lose the World Series against the Nationals? I want to hear about trash cans. Justin Verlander wasn't the pitcher we expected. He was not at the end of the season. So he's going to be much more rested. And I still think the Astros are going to be there in the end of it. Same thing as you mentioned with James Harden. At the end of it, he's going to be a lot more healthy and fresh, if you will. So, I mean, that's from a Houston perspective. Let's get a couple of asterisks this year.
Yeah, hey man, what can you do? You can't control what's happening, so just go win the title. Whatever scenarios laid out, go win it, because at the end of the day, it counts. That's it. I mean, it counts.
That was weird.
What happened?
Did Josh already ruin the show? Was that Josh?
No. Do you want me to bring him on?
Did you bring in Josh, who unmuted himself? No, I'm kidding. Josh Merwin now joining us here on the show. And Josh, we've kind of been all over the place in our intro, but I think Raheel did a very good job discussing your, well, at least what you want to do with Houston. Houston's International Sports Film Festival coming next year, June of next year. And you just want to put Houston movies on Spotlight, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think all international films, sports-related films, and Spotlight Houston having the festival there. So the films don't have to just be Houston films. I mean, I have a film on a Houston athlete that played University of Texas. So, I mean, that's kind of the genesis of how this started, realizing, my story is about the guy named Carson Kiner that won the College World Series with UT in 2005, got drafted by the Reds in 2006, was going to sign and go Horns, and he had to have a kidney transplant. So his doctor said, don't sign, have the transplant, go back to school for your senior season, see what happens. So Carson's dad was a kidney donor. His dad played pro ball when he was younger, and everything went fine. They did surgery at Texas Children's, which was a little funny because Carson's a college athlete, walking around Texas Children's with his dad. But everything went well, and the Reds surprised everybody and wanted to sign him 3 weeks after his surgery. So my kind of story evolved from there.
Josh, I hate to jump in there, but I did a thumbs up, and I did not mean because he had to go through all that. I did that because Raheel did the UT sign.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We call it the hook 'em.
It wasn't hey, he went to the hospital. It was more like, representation of the Aggies.
I'm a Buffalo, so I went to see you in Boulder. So
all right.
What is y'all?
Stay out of the Texas drama.
What is your hand symbol? Is there one for the Buffalo?
I think our Buffalo just runs people over.
No, that's it. That's it. So the film festival, by the way, you are now accepting nominees or donations or submissions, excuse me, donations as well to start getting movies in there, and of course launch this a little bit better. Tell us about that. Like, what are some of the categories, or are there any rules to this, or is it just sports films? What is it?
Yeah, so it's, at its core, it's sports films, but it's feature length, short films, narrative, documentary, animated films. So we've got a lot of categories that we're going to pull from. And then we're going to have a track on athletes as activists from a historical standpoint, because obviously everything going on right now for racial equality, as I was building the festival over the past month, focusing on, what's changing and what's going on in the world, realized that, athletes are really the ones that have, especially racial boundaries, crossed those boundaries first, and then society is followed after that. So I think it's important to carry on the conversation looking a year out. So that's been the most interesting thing for me is, watching some of these older films and seeing how they, in some ways, sadly, still relate to what's going on today. The battles are still being fought that were fought 30, 40 years ago.
Josh, how good of a movie scene is Houston? When you talk about the South, right? A lot of people bring up Austin. I think Joe Rogan's actually moving to Austin. But like, where's Houston? And I don't want to say in a ranking standpoint, but how good of a movie market is it?
I don't know actually. I think this will make a big dent in that. I think it'll put Houston on the map, halfway between New York and LA. And I think there's an opportunity for Houston with future film production to kind of go to a city that has more space. Because with COVID, people are starting to do productions again, but in a city like New York, you just don't have the space for people to kind of socially distance, especially on the set. So I'm hoping the festival can kind of put Houston on the map in that way. There's a ton of filmmakers in Texas too, so we'll obviously highlight their work.
Yeah, that is interesting that the movie scene and the production scene never took off in Houston, because there's so many companies here, there's so many resources here, and as you mentioned, there's so much space, but there's not specifically movie studios, right? Why do you think that is, that Houston never took off and other cities did in Texas?
Yeah, I'm really not sure. I mean, I think, Austin's always kind of, their slogan's been to keep it weird. So I think they've traditionally been maybe a little more artistic in that sense. Um, I think they've just had some filmmakers, that live there too. Um, but yeah, I'm not really sure.
How did the origin of this project come to mind? Like, was there just a day that it hit you? We've all been home with a lot of ideas, the last few months. How did the Houston International Sports Film Festival hit you as a thing for you to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, so I had A Gift for Life, my film on Carson Kiner. It was a probably 10-year process because I started before he had the surgery, and then he had the surgery, and then played in the minor leagues, got up to Double A. So that was probably a little of 6 years just for that. And then once the film was finished, I was looking at the landscape and trying to get into the big film festivals and looking at the hurdles to do that. And that's when I kind of realized there was no sports film festival in the U.S. That was shocking. So from that, about 2 years ago, I started kind of thinking like, okay, well, if we did that, what would it look like? Where would it be? And I'm from Houston, so I wanted to give something back to the city. Like I said, it's equidistant between New York and LA. I think it'll be a standout event. And then in addition to the films, we're gonna have sports activities for kids to kind of get outside and get active, kind of like I did when I was growing up. The kids nowadays, they're on their iPhones and iPads a little too much. I'm well aware of that. We've got 3-year-old twins, so our kids have. I mean, my son can fully use the iPad now, which is a little scary. But being quarantined in New York for 3 months was a necessity.
What are some of the hurdles trying to get into some of the bigger film festivals? Because we obviously don't know them, and we all just see the final product in terms of this movie won an award at X film festival. What are some of the hurdles?
I mean, the hurdle. I mean, there's so many films trying to get in for so little spots. I mean, I think some of them it's like 1% or 0.01% films get in. I think in not having a category for sports films, not having a festival for that category, was really something that was missing. So, I know what it's like to have a story and have it for a good cause for organ donor awareness, or, a different cause. And, you feel like you're clawing, uphill trying to get your film out there so people can see it and make an impact in the world. And, there's a lot of sports films that relate to life. My story is about baseball, but it's really about life and, the sacrifice Carson's dad made to continue his life and carry on his passion for playing professional baseball. And then, the rewards later from that is Carson's dad got grandkids from it. So I think, what we're looking for is sports stories, but that really are focused on life stories, and sports is kind of the thread that ties it together, even, by 0.01%.
Josh, I don't know how much you can talk to this, but I'll read this comment from Maria that says, also, Texas and Houston doesn't always offer the best incentive for filmmakers to consider our city. Austin's able to offer more economic incentives as well as a diversity of landscape and resources. It's not the first time I've heard somebody make that comment. It is sometimes difficult to get things done here.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I would say reach out to the Film Commission and Houston Film Commission, see what they can do. And certainly, with the festival being in Houston, I'm hoping that we can kind of get some traction to open the doors for more incentives. I think, if it's going to bring money in, let's help filmmakers make more films.
Now, Josh, you're still in New York right now, or did you come back home?
Yeah, I'm in New York right now. Yeah, I'm in New York right now.
How's that been for the last 3 months up there for you guys?
It's been very difficult. We finally brought our nanny back 3 weeks ago, which has been great, because my wife working and then me trying to work and trying to get stuff done with the film festival has been very difficult, and then taking care of our twins. But the past 3 weeks I've really made a lot of progress with the film festival and kind of, found some films that I never knew existed. I was just flipping around on Amazon Fire a couple weeks ago, and there was a film on George Foreman, documentary that, I'd never seen before. And so, we're actually going to try and reach out to George and see if we can get him to come to the festival, when at Houston Golden Boy. But his story is, pretty incredible. I didn't know his whole backstory. And it relates to a lot of stuff that was continuing to go on today. So I think we're trying to and Houston has a lot of ties with some of the historical athletes as activists. Muhammad Ali shot one of his films partially in Houston. And then Billie Jean King with the Battle of the Sexes in the Astrodome. There's been some major milestones that Houston's been a part of. So it'd be, especially in the first year, I'm excited to try and highlight some of those.
Just a quick random thought. Howard Chen of ESPN chiming in. Hello, Howard. Good to see you. CSN former great. I also like to look at things in the background, Josh.
Yeah.
You see him in the background of Raheel. You see him, weird picture of him with a mustache over his left shoulder. I look over your right shoulder and I see a J.J. Watt 99 jersey up top. Is that right, or is that another 99?
Yeah, no, that is J.J. Watt. Yeah, we got it for my son when our twins were born. They were alive to witness the Astros winning the World Series, so that was exciting. We've got them passed out on this little double chair where they're sleeping. We put a little mini champagne bottle off the cork for him when the Astros won. But yeah, that's a J.J. Watt jersey that my son wore when he was a baby.
Nice. That's gotta be fun talking trash to Yankees fans living in New York about the Astros, and especially what happened this past season.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of sports brings a lot of families together, and certainly, the twins on their second birthday last year. My parents came out to New York for their birthday party, and one thing I told my dad is I wanted to go to the Yankee Stadium because the Astros were in town playing the Yankees. And I was like, I want their first baseball game to be something they go to with you. So we all went out there, and the kids did great. I mean, our son was just eating the entire time, and by the seventh inning, our daughter kind of got a little antsy. So I took her on a walk, and she had this cute little Astros dress on, and I mean, she's teeny tiny. She was 2 pounds 2 ounces when she was born, so she's bigger now, but she's still a little one. So she's holding my pinky. We're walking around the stadium, and this guy comes up to me, and he's like, "Man, I got to tell you," he goes, "I hate the Astros." Said it a little more passionately than that. He's like, "But this is the cutest thing I've ever seen." So, I think if you're nice to other people and you do something cute, that, they're nice to you as well. But there have been a couple random comments when I wear my Astros hat that I kind of like forget I'm wearing, and I turn around like, "Why are you yelling at me, man?" So,
hey, Josh, we try to give you a little bit of warning. So here we go.
Yeah.
Your 3 best or favorite sports movies, and anybody watching on the stream can obviously chime in as well. We'll try to get to some of those.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I did have to Google a little bit because when you put me on the spot, it's hard to think of them. But I think Field of Dreams is one that's always been a favorite and a crowd pleaser. Major League, kind of for the comedy and kind of outlandishness of it. And then the Foreman documentary really kind of hit me hard. It was just a surprise. I wasn't expecting it. I'm young enough that I didn't realize that Muhammad Ali fought him in the Rumble in the Jungle. For some reason, I was associating Ali with Sonny Liston and Frazier, and so I was watching the film and I was like, oh wow, I'm an idiot. Like, how did you miss this whole historical perspective? So I think so that those are kind of the top 3 right now. I did watch one of the Billie Jean King films last night, which was pretty amazing as well, just to see the impact she's had on sports and women's rights and equality of LGBTQ community. So I think those are kind of, right now it's been interesting, kind of more interesting watching the older historical ones.
Okay, Nunez, before we get yours, I want to get a ruling on this. Does The Last Dance count as a sports film / documentary? I mean, it's 10 parts. Are we going to be able, or is it allowed to be entered into our discussion as a favorite?
I don't think so, because then we have a lot of other ones to consider, right? Like
every 30 for 30 counts, yeah.
But I think the 30 for 30's got their own. They're like their own little bubble here that we can break down those films.
Josh, what do you think? What's the ruling on this? We need a split vote here because I say it counts. Nuno says no. Do 30 for 30s count in our list?
For sports films? Well, 30 for 30 certainly count. But I mean, you're talking about the series where it's drawn out, like the OJ series that is drawn out in a multi-part series. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of a television series. I think, it was really interesting to watch. I mean, it is a documentary. Obviously, there was a little bit of pushback after the fact because it was, a story kind of in some ways controlled by Michael Jordan. But I also think the way they promoted it a little bit, if they would have said that, it's celebrating his life and his story, I think that would have come out instead of having the promotion be like, this is the definitive documentary on behind the scenes. So I think sometimes the way things are presented, kind of people react differently to it, but it was fun to watch.
Bianca wants to make sure we mention romantic sports films. I guess the only one I can think of is Jerry Maguire. I know there's more, but that's the first one that comes to mind. And yes, phenomenal. But I'm going to give you my 3. I think you have to, no matter where you're from, you got to put Rocky in the mix, right? I just especially Rocky 1 was great. The Creed series, everything that's happened, everything but Rocky 5 has been a phenomenal experience for me. I also, staying in the boxing world, not that I'm the biggest boxing guy, I would say The Fighter. I think what Christian Bale did in that movie was phenomenal, and I love to do a humble brag. I interviewed him for that movie, so I interviewed Batman. So to me, that's a huge deal. And I think one of the best, and I know it's listed many times, but also forgotten, Hoop Dreams. Hoop Dreams, to me, I saw it when it came out. It was amazing.
That was the original. That was the one that launched the sports documentary genre, right? Like, it changed everything from the book, and then it being adapted into a movie. It changed everything.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one I need to rewatch, more recently, because I haven't seen it in a long, long time. But to jump in your Batman comment, and kind of lead you into your superhero story, Batman's one of my all-time favorite characters in films, partially because my dad's name is Bruce Wayne Merwin.
No way.
Yeah,
best name ever.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm gonna go with Rocky as well. You got to put Rocky in there. It's one of the greatest films ever. It's just, it has everything you want, right? In a hero, the story. Then I'm going Above the Rim because of what Tupac did in that movie, what that film did in terms of tracking a high recruit and the surrounding problems and success that comes with being somebody that recruited. And then the third one, it's just because it's my childhood, I've got to put the Mighty Ducks in this. Okay. What Coach Bombay did with that group of misfits is still one of the greatest accomplishments in sports history.
Sorry, man. I'm out. I am 100% out. Like, I tried to watch it with the kid. It hasn't held on to time the way you remember it, Raheel. Have you watched it recently?
No, I need to. I need to fire it up and watch it again because they're relaunching it. They're doing a Mighty Ducks on Disney Plus, and I think most of the cast is coming back.
Yeah. Guess who's not going to watch it?
They're all going to be coaches or the parents?
I think, they're going to be parents, and then I'm sure, Casey's going to end up being or Pacey, he's going to end up being one of the coaches.
Well, I've got a lot of movies to watch. I'm kind of missing the 30 for 30s that we were getting on Sunday nights. But Josh, we're really excited about what you're going to do, and I hope you'll join us again here as we get closer, and then we can start, spotlighting some of the films that will be able to be seen. And we're just really excited about it. And movies, sports, music, I think that they all are in that same little entertainment world that we're all into. So we look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. And one other thing that we're doing, since everybody's still kind of stuck at home this summer with their kids, we're starting an art contest for kids to create a mini mascot for the festival. So they can email us mascot@hisff.org with their kids' artwork, and we'll pick a winner at the end of the summer. But thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh. It'll be up on the stream. We'll make sure people see that, and we'll talk to you soon down the line.
Cool. Thanks. Take care, guys.
All right, good stuff. Looking forward to that festival. We'll have to do a remote from there, Raheel. How does that sound?
Absolutely. Maybe we can host a panel, because at those film festivals, there's a lot of panels, and I feel like you and I would be really good panel hosts.
You just want to be you just want freebies, bro. Just buy the ticket and go. Okay.
No. I'm going to go. I want to buy the ticket, but I want to be on a panel as well.
Talking superhero movies or sports movies?
No, sports movies.
Okay.
Sports comedies. What if I lead a panel and I bring the whole cast of the Mighty Ducks together?
Well, then if you do that, yes. But the chances of that happening, Ricky, come on, Ricky on the thread. Never mind. Hey, I do want to read this from Maria because I've heard nothing but great things about this. Argentina Football Club breaks down the religion of football in Argentina and the rivalry between Boca Junior and River Plate. There's actually a Boca Junior documentary series on Netflix. I have not watched that yet. That is supposed to be fantastic. So another one of those that I'm into. Anytime there's a 30 for 30 real sports with Bryant Gumbel, the twins and I, we watch it together all the time.
Yeah, same here. It's so much fun, and it's fun to see the story behind the story, obviously, because we just get the actual game, right?
Right.
And we watch that and we're like, okay, cool. But to me, it is way more intriguing to find out what was the motivation, what were some of the difficulties behind the scenes, what were the external factors heading into a game, right? And obviously the 30 for 30s do such a good job of that because you get the time to actually tell the story and not just the game itself. And then you find out that, this was happening behind the scenes, and this guy was trying to get rid of this guy, and they might have been cool on the court, but this was happening. And then it makes the actual sports accomplishment even better. And it makes the game itself even better because you then see that there was this conflict, but yet they still overcame it and still won or ended up losing or whatever it may be. I love stuff like that. And this might not be a popular opinion, Nuno, but LeBron James and his multimedia company doing a documentary on the Astros cheating scandal of 2017, if done right, I want to know. I want to know what were some of the factors behind this. And they have to highlight other teams as well that were cheating. You. Yes, they have to highlight that.
Let me tell every LeBron fan, I have no interest in that movie if they're pinpointing on the Astros, because the Astros stuff is out there, okay? And it maybe got a little worse than we know, but we know for a fact that other teams are doing the exact same thing. When I say a fact, we know for whispers, right? LeBron.
No, facts. You're right. The Boston Red Sox, it is a fact. They were caught cheating 2 years in a row. This is not us being Houston homers. These are actual facts. They were fined. They also had an investigation done in 18. 17, the reason all the cheating stopped, because a lot of teams were doing the sign stealing with technology, was because of the Yankees and Red Sox. Those are facts. You're right. Those are absolute facts.
Yep, a fact with them. And also, somebody who is such a diehard fan of a particular team. Well, I'll choose me. If I were to do a documentary on the Astros, the Texans, Real Madrid, the Dynamo, whomever, you need to tell other perspectives. As a diehard of the Yankees that we know LeBron is, his better include a lot. It can't just be about the little Astros, okay? Or I'll get the Houston Film Festival to make a documentary about just the Yankees and all their cheating. That's what I'll do.
How about this? The Yankees cheated, and the reason we were saying they cheated because they were found guilty. There was a letter sent by the commissioner's office to the New York Yankees. This is all public again. You can look this up. The actual letter has not come out yet because the Yankees are blocking it in court because they think it's going to do a lot of damage to their rep. So, release the letter. Let's see how you guys are cheating, because these are facts. They were cheating. That's it. I mean, the MLB commissioner's office sent you a letter, and it is public that you were cheating. So let us know how you were cheating as well. And you're right, David. In a good documentary, it is important to get the stories around the actual story. Why was it important that the Chicago Bulls beat the Indiana Pacers and Reggie Miller? It took them 7 games. Why was that important? Because that team had its own story, and it adds to the context of the story. So the Houston Astros cheating and winning the World Series in 2017, when other teams were doing it, it adds context to it. It's just that the Houston Astros didn't stop after the letter was sent.
Well, and it doesn't diminish their mistake. So I apologize if it comes across that way. I'm embarrassed by what happened. I also think there was a lack of leadership in the clubhouse to stop such a thing, because I think young players, but we can have that discussion for years. Josh, who was just on the show, has a nice little message there, Raheel, if you want to pop it up. Thanks, guys. It was a lot of fun. We can get you on the panel. Look at you, always trying to get on the panel. And he has a great idea with the hockey setup and let kids take some shots in goal. So make sure you guys follow Josh on Twitter. Do you have his Twitter handle? I have it somewhere around here, Raheel.
Yeah, it's
HISFF _org. Sorry.
Yep. And you can find them. And I also tweeted the handle, and so have you. You retweeted it. So if you follow us on Twitter at David Nuno ABC13 or Raheel at _Raheel. And we have all the links and Twitter accounts linked on there. I can't wait for that. It's going to be fun. And it's nice to have something here. I mean, Houston already hosts so many big events and worldwide events, right? Just across various industries. So to finally have sports and films have a home here next year, by the way, this is next year. And look, again, the world is going to look totally different next year. So everyone is worried about, like, are you going to have to wear a mask? We're not sure, because that's next year, guys. It's way down. I mean, like, it's so far away.
So dumb.
Yeah, but it's cool to have that here. And of course, Houston can host it because we host so many events here.
Hey, so our next guest, by the way, from the New York area. So he's going to destroy us with his Yankee takes. He's like Vinny Chase from Entourage. I've been following Humberto Gonzalez since, I don't know, man, like 2008, 9, whenever he was starting with Latino Film Review. It's been a long time. What's going on, El Mayimbe?
How you doing? Thank you for having me on, man.
Hey, so I've been bragging about you for a while.
Oh,
You have broken. I would love for you to go through some of the things you have broken. But I mean, the Keaton thing you just had the other day, I mean, left and right, you are on top of it when it comes to breaking superhero stories and just movie stories in general.
Yeah, no, it's the thing with superhero movies. I think it's what's made me stand out from the crowd is that I approach it as a fan. Like me as a fan, what would I want to see or want to know? Like I have this incessant desire to know every little detail, even spoilers sometimes. So that's always motivated, and seeing how these companies work and how they program their movies and they come up with their slates, I kind of get a feel, because most of them are using the comic books, some of the best stories that they've printed, as blueprints. Okay, it doesn't mean that they're literal translations. So you could say, okay, if they're doing, let's say, the Michael Keaton thing, okay, they're doing loosely based on the Flashpoint storyline like they just did on TV, okay, then who's going to be their Batman? So there was a rumor that there was going to be a Thomas Wayne appearance with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but during their development meetings inside of DC, it evolved, why don't we do this instead? Why don't we try to ask Michael Keaton to come back? And then that's how I found out about it, like early on in the process. And it was nerve-wracking because it's been to sit on something like this right before it breaks. You're always concerned that a competitor is going to break it or whatnot. But yeah, and full disclosure, I'm a Met fan. I'm not a Yankee fan. So.
All right. We don't have anything to worry about with you. There's nothing to root about right now.
How you going to go there, man? Leave my Mets alone, man. I hope J-Lo and A-Rod buy it, man. So,
man, it's so cool. Let's specifically stick on the Michael Keaton story and him being in the Flash with Ezra Miller. You broke that there's a chance, right? There's Batman right there. I've got a Batman statue in my living room. Love Batman. David Nuno was wearing a Batman t-shirt last broadcast. So we're all fans. Mm-hmm. And, one of the things about, going back to the Spider-Man movies and then Iron Man launching the Avengers universe, it almost felt like it was watered down, right? Like the general public was not ready for the multiverse setting. So now that DC is doing it and they've done it with the Flash on CW, were you surprised that they're taking it mainstream because it is such a confusing plot?
That's been the thing. Like originally in my story, the multiverse explainer was a lot longer. So me and the editors condensed it down. So like people who don't read comics, to make it accessible to general audiences. But it's a brilliant concept because the newest thing in superhero movies, I feel, is now going to be the multiverse wars. Begun the multiverse wars has, as Yoda would say. So basically, DC's out the gate first. Marvel's doing something similarly that I'm tracking. I'm not ready to talk about it just yet, but think about it. What actors in the last 20, 30 years in Marvel movies could they bring back to like come into an MCU movie? See? So now there's an arms race between these two studios. So DC's out the gate first, but yeah, Keaton, it's amazing. I remember like yesterday, I was 15 when the Keaton movie came out. I went to the opening night on that weekend. I went to a couple of screenings. I put up something on my Twitter the day the Keaton story. I went to a screening and I took a picture with a Batman. So an actor in a Batman costume. And I just got the 4K again recently, was revisiting all those documentaries. So the multiverse idea gives them the opportunity to bring somebody like Keaton back. We find out what he's been up to 30 years later. It perhaps gives them an opportunity to reintroduce Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, basically. And for sake of conversation, if I wish Christopher Reeve was still alive, he could come back as like a Kingdom Come Superman. That's basically the concept of the multiverse. Basically, all these universes exist under one umbrella. So DC has been heading in that direction. They've been planting the seeds. Like you saw in the CW show with the Flash, that was a hot scene. Everyone saw that. And then they have their own little Comic-Con thing that's coming in August. So they're calling it the multiverse as well. The Insiderverse, the DC fandom and stuff. So it's like, it's a very clever idea and something, and they started to think outside the box. Warner Brothers is a very traditional company and a very traditional and old school in the way they do things. So they have some forward-thinking executives that are not like glued to the material and think outside the box. What would our competitor do? So basically something like Keaton coming back to play Batman, but much older, is something Kevin Feige would probably do if he was running DC. So, yeah.
So you said something. I'm just going to talk out loud. Sure. 20, 30 years, Raheel. We're having a private chat right now. Just Raheel. Sure. Umberto's not involved. Tobey Maguire? I mean, who are we thinking about in the last 20 years that makes total sense to bring the Spider-Verse, right? And I'm just saying, it just, in my mind, it makes sense, but I'm not going to.
I checked on Tobey Maguire, and apparently that rumor's been out there for a while now, and both Marvel and Sony shot it down. And, look, you know, it's inaccurate and stuff, but where there's, in my experience, where there's smoke, there's fire. It's one thing saying that it's not accurate. It's another thing to say that it's not true.
Ooh.
Two different things.
So if Tobey Maguire comes back, will it be the emo Spider-Man from Spider-Man 3? Because if that happens, Humberto, I'm in. I'm in on if you got the hair again, everything, I'm so in.
Ooh, that was
let me offer this up to David, okay? You get you get one cameo, let's say 5 years from now, all right? Yep. It's Iron Man, Tony Stark coming back, or Christian Bale's Batman coming back somehow.
Easily. Okay, I know that Humberto's a big Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne. I'm a Christian Bale Batman. Other than the voice of Batman, other than that, I think Christian Bale. He's my Batman. So I would say, without a doubt, it would be Christian Bale. But look, Robert Downey Jr. Nobody has played a part better. I mean, that part was made as Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
As big as a Batman fan as I am, like Ben Affleck did it for me. His suit. He was a complicated Bruce Wayne. He was violent. Like that warehouse scene is one of the best action scenes, in my opinion, of all time. I don't get tired seeing that. The only tragedy there is, like, I wish they made a Batman film before they made Batman be Superman, because I think we'd be in a different position. But I think he was awesome. He was the Batman that I grew up reading in the 80s, a brutal, violent brawler who broke bones. But to answer your question, hands down, Robert Downey Jr., he's the biggest box office star, perhaps, of the last 10, 15 years. So it's a no, you know, people, everyone and their mother knows that he was Tony Stark, that he was in Endgame, and they would go see that over Bale. Bale was a good Batman. I hated the suit though. Ben Affleck's suit was perfect with the knuckle attachments and the black and the gray. Yeah, that's what different. But it's got to be, you know, it's got to be easily Robert Downey Jr.
Humberto, help me. When we're talking about Affleck, I thought he was great in Batman versus Superman. He was great in this little miniature part in Suicide Squad. My problem with him, and I'm sure this is a Joss Whedon thing, is they made him a punk in Justice League. Like, that's not, like, he didn't want to be the leader. He just, okay, I'm just so sad. That's not Bruce Wayne. Like, I don't know. I just felt like that version of Bruce bothered me.
Yeah, no, it bothered me too. He phoned it in. He was, you know, by the time they were shooting that, BVS was getting killed with reviews and stuff. You know, he, as we all know, he had a drinking problem. It got him back off. He fell off the wagon because of it and stuff, and he went through a lot of personal issues. But he put on some weight as well. You could tell it's painful to watch. I haven't seen it since, because, you know, he wasn't into it anymore. He was just phoning it in, and he wanted out. Like, he just wanted out of the suit, wanted out of the role, and just go back to making movies that get him Oscars, quite frankly.
All right, so let's talk about your journey, because David was telling me beforehand, this is so cool. Let's start with the professional side. How did you get started in this? Because this is a dream job for so many people. And let's not get it wrong. Like, we are working in dream jobs as well. Nuno is, and I'm here as well. How did you get started professionally? Because your career path is so interesting.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Basically, I moved to Hollywood about 20 years ago, and I became bicoastal. So then my introduction into the business, I used to work with a film director who I have a production background. I graduated from film school, and literally the next day started working film sets and productions in the mid to late 90s. And you can make good money back then because music video budgets were in the millions. Now they're lucky if they even get 4 or 5 figures as a budget. So I was working production and stuff constantly. And then under the Giuliani administration, there was a threat of an actor's strike. So in April of 2000, my last job was for Iñárritu, Alejandro González Iñárritu. This is before he was Iñárritu, like we know him today. He was directing a Quaker State commercial, and I was one of the only few people who were bilingual working production in those days. And I saw him work, and we talked, and he gave me some great advice. So when the strike didn't happen with the unions, there was a pseudo strike because everybody thought the strike was going to happen. They got all this work together, and then it didn't happen. So that I had some time to think of a next move. So I hooked up with a film director. He made a movie in October of 2000 for like 30 days. The movie was called Empire, directed by Frank Reyes. And then 9/11, so he's posting the movie. Then 9/11 happened. He flew out the day before to try to sell the movie. And then 9/11 happens, the business goes quiet for a bit, and then Training Day comes out. Training Day then opens the urban film market. It's the #1 film. So then his film gets selected to go to Sundance in the winter of 2002. That was like 18 years ago. So basically, he calls me, we're going to Sundance. So basically, I had like an Entourage-esque kind of entry into the business. I was like I was a bit of Eric. I was a bit of Turtle. I was a bit of Johnny Graham. I was like a do-it-all. So basically, right, he sold the movie after Sundance in May of 2002, and then Universal was going to release it theatrically in December of 2002. So in November of 2002, I'm still somewhat out of the business. He asked, hey, what are you doing over a weekend? He's like, what are you doing? Why don't you come out with me to Hollywood and work with me? So I'm like, okay, cool. So that was November 6, 2002. We come from New York. We get to the airport. There's like with the signs with our names and stuff, and we go right to the premiere of Eminem's 8 Mile, because 8 Mile had the trailer of my buddy's movie right playing in front of that, and 8 Mile was the #1 movie that weekend because everybody wanted to see the Eminem film. So as I worked with him, I started meeting a lot of people and stuff. So in the late 90s, early 2000s, websites like Ain't It Cool News, Dark Horizons, Corona's Coming Attractions, there was a lot of gossip with all these movie sites, and they started coming into their own, breaking all these stories. So I would hear a lot of scoops and stuff. I would hear a lot of information. So it was a cool thing to like submit information. And then one day on the homepage of Ain't It Cool News, there was the first ever picture of Tobey Maguire chasing a bus in Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man movie. It's technically the first still. So it says Latino Review breaks this story, Tobey Maguire. So like, oh, Latino Review. So I started following this guy, and his site is headquartered in Queens. Okay, he's from Queens. He's Latino from Queens. I'm Latino from Queens. So we kind of hooked up, and I started sending him information, and then we just decided to work together. And then I think my first superhero story that was first accredited one was Tim Story directing the Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, wow.
So I broke that. Peyton Reed, who directed Ant-Man, the Ant-Man movies, he was one of the contenders for that movie at the time. And he clearly remembers being in contention for that. So then superhero movie news was still in its infancy. Back in those days, you'd be lucky if one movie happens a year. Now it's like a daily cottage industry. You got all these sites and even the Hollywood trades covering breaking superhero news like anything else. It's incredible. But I was in very early on. And then Jeffrey Boucher was, I consider, the first fanboy newsman, the first superhero movie news reporter. He covered, for the LA Times, he covered basically Nolan's movies. Nolan loved him. He would give him exclusives. He would give him interviews and stuff. So he became one of the first guys. And Boris Kidd at the Hollywood Reporter became the second one. He was a fan-centric reporter, and he would break stuff over at Hollywood Reporter. And then, Variety too. Mark Grazer would break stuff back in those days. So basically, I just started getting all this information. I would build sources and stuff. Latino Review became much more popular, and then I started scooping and working with them full time. And then, time flew, and then he sold the site. I decided to try to strike out on my own. It was a very, scary thought. But in that time, we broke a lot of big stories. CNN started paying attention to us. They gave us our first profile like in 08, 09. It's around there somewhere. Kelvin Brooke, I think, the casting of Superman back in those days. Brandon Routh's Superman. That wasn't a Hollywood trade story. That was ours. There's so many that I could track, but on the superhero, I remember when Ben Affleck got cast as Batman, because earlier in the day, I was teasing on social media, got a big scoop and stuff. So basically, I broke Bradley Cooper's casting as Rocket Raccoon in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So a publicist from Warner's reached out to me, what do you got? You got something big? So they thought I had that. They thought I had Ben Affleck as Batman. So they put out the press release maybe an hour or two later, buried my scoop. Nobody cared that Bradley Cooper was playing this Rocket Raccoon. And it was all about Ben Affleck's Batman. It was August of 2013. And I was crushed. I was heartbroken. It was like, that's great news. It's cool. But you buried my scoop. You couldn't wait like another day. So, and then I launched Heroic Hollywood 5 years ago in the summer of 2015. I started breaking stuff left and right. I was a little bit into the spoiler business back then because that's the stuff that would traffic. I'm out of the spoiler business now because
thank you.
It's not cool. But yeah, and then Colin Trevorrow. The funny thing is, there was this director who was supposed to direct the Star Wars movies, Colin Trevorrow. I broke that, and then I broke when he left the project. Like, so it came full circle. That was the biggest until then. So basically, a year later, after launching Heroic Hollywood, I got an email from an editor at The Wrap, and it's like, I thought it was a joke. I was like, you know, okay, they you know, they do know I have a website, right? So then a week later, the deputy editor reaches out to me, who's now the executive editor. So I was like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. So I told him, listen, when I come back from Comic-Con, let's talk. So I met the editor-in-chief at that time, the executive editor, Tim Malloy, who's also a big comic book reading fanboy like me. We went to a breakfast joint in Hollywood, and we talked for hours. We started working and stuff. I mean, we started like fanboying what he read, what I read, what he collected. Like, he legit, like another fellow geek my age in his mid-40s who goes to the comic book store still to read. So basically, I met him, and then I met the deputy, and then they put me in front of the boss, Sharon Waxman, and the meeting was only 5 minutes. I know who you are. I know you hit major home runs. You break scoops. I want you to break them here, and we'll help you with your business on the side. You could do both. So basically, I break all my scoops at The Wrap, but then I have a staff installed on Heroic Hollywood, and it's, you know, I'm basically an absentee landlord, and those guys just do a great job running the site. And so if I break a story, they'll usually have it up within 3 to 5 minutes. So yeah, give them the heads up or whatnot. But it's been a crazy ride. It's been a wild ride. So it's like the one thing though, it's like, as a fan, I've always wanted to break a Batman. So I was completely out of the Batman casting of Robert Pattinson, because a lot of times one of the things that are popular now with these kids is fan art. So they would put a lot of fan art there. So there was early on before he got cast, there was fan art of Robert Pattinson in Batman suit. And me personally, I couldn't believe it that he could be a Batman. Like, get out of here. No, I don't think so. So guys, look, it's going to be Pattinson. It's going to be, no, it's not. You just tell me because you saw some fan art on Instagram and you're going to tell me that this guy's going to be Batman. And then lo and behold, I'm picking up my girlfriend at the airport, and in comes the story. Robert Pattinson cast as Batman. Oh my God. So it was my own self-denial. It's my own fault. I didn't even investigate it. I didn't even entertain the thought that this guy could be Batman. So it taught me one of the biggest lessons of my career is, the crazier it sounds, the most likely true it probably is. You know, so it doesn't matter what you think. You know, if 20 people are telling you something, you're probably wrong, and you should listen to the 20. Mm-hmm. But Keaton, you know, so basically, I consider him, Pattinson is the millennial Batman, but Keaton, come on, let me point right over there. Keaton's Batman, that's the Batman of my generation, Generation X Batman. So it finally happened, you know, and it was nerve-wracking a week ago just to get that story out. I could lose it any minute, and I almost did lose it to a competitor. But people, there are a lot of other up-and-coming scoopers that are building good sources, and they hear information. So I started seeing the memes on Twitter, like the hints getting out of Keaton and stuff. And oh my God, I got to go. So basically, we pulled the trigger, and I was literally 5-10 minutes away from losing that story.
Wow.
To a competitor. You know, so and it came down to the wire, and then I took off because the stress and the cortisol and the hormone levels were like going crazy, like on a big story, because I knew how big it would be. And then Joel Schumacher died.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my God, no way. You know, so but
same day, right?
That the news was reported an hour before I broke it. But the thing is, I would have lost it anyway. You know, so the wild thing is, Batman came the next day was my mother's birthday, June 23rd. June 23rd in 89 is when Batman was released. So I was thinking, okay, I might break it for my mother's birthday as a birthday gift to her, a movie that I fell in love with that opened the superhero movie arena in 89. But I did it the day before, so it counts. It's the week of. So, yeah,
it still counts. The week of.
But yeah, no, it's been an amazing career. I feel very blessed to do what I do. I get paid to wake up and find out who's playing, what actors are playing superhero movies, or what stories are coming, and it's the great. In my opinion, I'm sure sports writers will disagree with me, but I think the superhero beat is the best beat in the world. Period.
Oh, absolutely. You don't want to be the sports writer beat, especially baseball.
No.
Like,
the
worst one.
Humberto, there's a couple things I know we've had you for a long time, so I apologize. There's two other things I want to get into. So we heard about your rise in the business, but when did you become Arnold Schwarzenegger, bro? Because I saw you posted some muscle pics recently. Like I'm like an Instagram model now.
That's from a year ago.
but you had a real scary part of your life a few years back. If you can open up about how that really transformed you.
Basically, I caught cancer. Like, I've always been a jock, play sports in high school, like everybody, you know, and at 15 I always pumped iron, because when you want to play football, you're gonna have to lift, you know, and there's no choice about it. So there was a competition in those days in junior varsity, who could bench 150 pounds the most. Now it's a warm-up set. So it's a habit that I built. I fell in love with it. You know, I'm a big guy. I'm responsive to it and stuff. And basically high school into my 20s, I started working out, and I was always somewhat physically active. So, and I'm not scared of doctors. There's a lot of machismo mentality. Like, if someone's feeling something, they refuse to see a doctor because they think they're mentally strong. That's not how cancer works. Cancer will beat down the biggest tough guy in the world, no matter what. So I feel something weird doing cardio, like in 2012. And basically, long story short, I had what's called, as we get older, we get masses, you know, and I had a mass on one of my adrenal glands. It was benign. And it's okay, we're going to have to monitor this, come back in a year. So I came back in a year, and it got big. So instead of like doing a biopsy, let's have surgery preventatively, and let's get rid of it. So they took it out, and they removed the adrenal gland with it. And we found out after pathology that it became it metastasized. And it was, on the way it was growing and how fast it grew, it would have killed me before my 40th birthday. So when I was told that, you know, I just decided to change my life. You know, it gave me, I was always a confident guy, but it lit a fire in my butt. It made me more ambitious. It's like, I got a second chance of life. I'm going to make the most of it. So basically, that's one of the reasons I launched my own outlet. To work at the major trades, that was another opportunity I couldn't say no to. So, but the working out thing, I've always been like an alpha geek. I'm the guy in the football locker room that was always reading the comic books. That's me. So I was a hybrid, you know. That's why I like Zack Snyder's director, because he could be a nerd and he could be a jock at the same time. So there's that special geek where you're cool with all the nerd kids, but you're also cool with all the jocks. You're right there, moderate in the middle. So what happened was, I made a decision to lose weight and take better care of myself health-wise. So then I hired trainers. Like, I wanted to get jacked. Like, I wanted to hire a trainer, and he cleaned up my diet. This was like 2 years ago. And I got into condition. I learned my body. And then the year after, I hired an even bigger trainer who was a little bit more tougher, but he was more flexible in diet. And I just got completely jacked for about a year ago. And then when COVID hit, I lost all the gains, man. I haven't touched a barbell in over 6 months, because even though Gold, I live here in the Venice area in California, and Gold is literally like a mile away from me. I drive there every morning, but it's not healthy to go there right now with all this COVID stuff. But I do cardio, like, so I got, you know, as a lot of bodybuilders have on season, like when they get all jacked, and then there's the off season, the fall, where they put on some weight, they take off for a little while, let the body heal and recover. So I had a very good off season, and then I had put on the quarantine 15 before the quarantine. So then I just decided to do cardio and lose all the body fat, and then get my body fat down back to like almost single digits. So when the gyms reopen, once there's a vaccine or there's not an incident, I'll return, and then the weight I put back on will be muscle. But the way I looked last year, I don't look like that right now. You know, so yeah.
You mentioned Snyder. So the other huge news from a couple of weeks back, the Snyder Cut's coming. I know you had a big thing on it recently. I watched, every second of it. Talk to me about how you think it's going to unfold, because I think the super fan and a lot of us, we'd like to see them maybe build on that universe, but I think this might be a one and done, right?
Trust me on this one. It is one and done. Basically, HBO Max needs content. They see this huge fan base, which the fact that they held it down for like 2-3 years, being persistent, doing flybys, having rallies, dating billboards in Times Square at Comic-Con, much respect to them. The executives at HBO Max took notice, like, maybe we should do something here. So basically, they're just gonna, the Snyder Cut exists, but it's just not finished. So now it's going to take a year of all this post-production and special effects to finish his story. Like, he originally planned to do 3 movies. Okay. Now he has to condense them into one with what he has. So basically, Darkseid is a villain. Scenes that were shifted and stuff. So he's getting an opportunity to finish his movie, and then that's it, because DC wants to move forward. It's Snyder had a shot and it didn't work out with them, but he's getting the rarest of opportunities to finish his cut, and then that's it. But the film unit, like, they're going in different directions. Like, as much as I would love to see Ben Affleck return for Batman, like in a movie or even a TV show, maybe it'll happen in a couple of years. Maybe he'll have a change of heart and change of mind. But right now, that's not going to happen. But it's indeed, I think they're going to release it in a couple of parts sometime next year once they're done, like a 4 to 6 episode miniseries, and then maybe do it as one big movie. But they all do their voiceovers, their ADR work, special effects, and then they release it. And then, DC proper moves forward. But the multiverse allows the Snyder Cut to exist. If you think about it, it's just in a different universe, the Snyderverse. But people, and there's always unfortunately, a lot of what I also do is shoot down a lot of fake news and rumors, because something will catch on with fire, and people swear it's gospel. Like the Thomas Wayne incident with Flashpoint. People like, but what's going to happen with Jeffrey D. Morgan and Thomas Wayne? But you guys don't understand. That conversation evolved into what became Keaton. That guy's not in the script. That hasn't been in the script for years. That actor hasn't even been approached. Yet people swore it was happening. So I was like, no, it's not. And I got to shut it down. Hollywood Reporter just did a newsletter on Friday saying, listen, Thomas Wayne is not in the script. He hasn't been in it as well. Just backing up what I've been saying. So yeah, that's another thing with the job. So with the advent of social media, someone can make something up, and a lot of other like fake news sites pick it up, and it spreads like wildfire. Yeah, that's the danger of social media.
So what's the timeline right now for the DC universe? Is it Wonder Woman next, and then the Snyder Cut, and then Flash?
Well, Wonder Woman, wow. They come out with Wonder Woman. They're in production. They're gearing back to go into production on Batman. They got 7 weeks in the can. They got another 11 weeks to go. So once Batman wraps, okay, those sound stages in London turn into the sets for the Flash. So they're going to shoot the Flash next. They have to make Shazam 2. They have to do Black Adam, and then Aquaman 2. So they're booked for the next 2-3 years, and then they got to figure out what to do with Superman. However, here's a cool tip. Basically, the Flash movie will set everything straight, and the Justice League will be somewhat rebooted. Okay, Ooh. So the Justice League, it's going to set the timeline proper for the DC universe going forward. So from what I hear so far is that Michael Keaton might be the Batman of the Justice League going forward, with Gal Gadot, with Wonder Woman, Aquaman, the Flash, and Cyborg. And
whoa! Keaton's going to be the Batman in that?
He's 200.
I think so. Think about it. It's like a kingdom. The Justice League needs a Batman. Okay. The Justice League needs a Batman. They were toying around originally with Robert Pattinson coming in at the end in the Flash movie, but they figured there was just too much. There was too much confusion. It would confuse too many people. That wait a minute, what's this Batman doing if you guys have a Ben Affleck Batman? You see what I'm saying? But a Batman from a different timeline in the current timeline, that's a little bit more accessible. So the Flash will explain all that.
Does that open up the door for Batman Beyond guy, Tim? What's his name? Tim
Barry McGinnis. The Hollywood Reporter reported something along. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. I mean, Michael Keaton will be 69 when he's shooting the role. So basically, if he wanted to mentor like Batgirl, if he wanted, that could be like a Batman Beyond. So from what I understand, they're going to try to make him the Nick Fury of the DCEU going forward, where he's this older, wiser, grizzled Batman, and he mentors maybe a Batgirl, and he's probably the guy on the current Justice League. Exciting stuff.
And then we'll have Pattinson's world over here, which isn't connected to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker per se, but it could be.
It could be, yeah. Theoretically, they got to convince Joaquin and throw him a lot of money to do it, but theoretically, yeah. So maybe Pattinson's Batman could meet Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. The multiverse gives them that opportunity to do that.
Sure. Man, exciting stuff, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I
wake up excited for this stuff every day. Oh my God, that's so cool. Like, I'm a fan first before I'm a journalist. So And that's what's helped. That's what's guided me my entire career. Like, that might work, that might not. I don't know. So, but now we're in the superhero movie wars. Every studio wants to get all this IP out. We got Marvel, we got Sony, we got DC, you got independent producers making stuff out there too. Lionsgate. Everybody's trying to get into this IP business of superhero movies. And
we could do this all day. So, Umberto, we appreciate your time, man. You and I have been going back and forth for years, so I appreciate you joining us. Rahil's just as big as a superhero fan as I am, so this has been fun. And next time I'm in LA, we'll link up.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, David and Rahil. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Umberto.
Thank you very much. You, that was awesome, man. I've been telling you for a while. I've been wanting to get him on the show just because A, he's great. He's awesome on camera, right? B, he knows his stuff better than anybody. And C, he's just got an amazing. I mean, his hustle is just it's fresh when somebody's been doing it for 20 years and they're still as hungry as they were back in the day. So I got a lot of respect for him.
Absolutely. I'm so excited we had a chance to talk to him, but we can't overlook the fact that you went total Hollywood on us and said, we got to link up next time I'm in Los Angeles. That was such a Hollywood move. We got to link up. Who are you, Nuno?
Hey,
it's like I don't even know you anymore.
Hey, I got friends in Hollywood now. I want to be I want to be E, and I'm not gonna be Turtle. So
let's link up, man. That was awesome. That was a great Sunday. I'm excited. We talked entertainment and sports and superheroes. That was a nice escape for an hour.
Yeah, and we'll have to do that again. We'll link up, Heezy, here. Hey, by the way, were you on TV yesterday?
I was. My voice was. My story on. Well, I'm blanking now.
We're Channel 13, Rahil. ABC 13.
I know. On Swindell, I did a story about him managing one of the 4 teams in the Sugarland Skeeters 4-league professional team league that they're launching. It's just giving fans baseball here in Sugarland. Roger Clemens is part of it. Kobe Clemens, Pete I can't say his last name right now.
Pete Incaviglia.
He's going to be one of the managers, and they haven't announced the 4th manager yet, right? Like they're still waiting on that. I think it's going to be you. You should do it, or you think I should do it?
Well, I was told by the people at the Skeeters that they know you. In fact, they called me like, "Oh yeah, he's been out here. He's on his show with that guy John and that guy Lance. Yeah, and he hit here once. So yeah, you could do it. Me, not so much.
No, but it was cool, man. And I can't wait. I mean, that's going to be our first. By the way, that's going to be our first local professional sports launching where like fans can go in, because as of right now, Constellation Field is going to allow fans inside to watch it. Of course, it's going to be socially distanced. I believe it's less than a quarter in terms of capacity. So there's going to be plenty of room between people. But this is going to be our first look at what sports will look like with fans during the pandemic.
Well, I think they're having a big event Wednesday, so we'll chit chat with them. I've got a little soccer match in about 58 minutes to watch, Rahil. And then I think we'll be back at it. I think we're going to try to do another show during the week, right?
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for watching. We appreciate you taking some time out on a Sunday. And make sure you follow us on Twitter at David Nuno, ABC13, at @the_Rahil. We'll have the latest on there as well.
All right, man. Talk to you later.